Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to Jody Ann's Kitchen, Food for Thought. I've been talking about shortcuts and healthy food tips that may be something you'd like to incorporate into your life, into your diet, maybe things you haven't heard of or had some questions about or seemed intimidating or anything in between. So feel free to add any comments on my YouTube page underneath this video if there are things you would like to learn more about or are curious about or share experiences that you may have had with any of these topics. And please be sure to like the video and subscribe. Subscribing is free and it's a way for me to gauge whether I'm giving you guys what you might be interested in. So I talked the other day about salads and eating salad every day by creating kind of an assembly line and putting together salads for the week in mason jars, which makes things really easy. Another couple elements that I like to add to my salads as I'm ready to eat them are sprouts and quinoa. Now, sprouts used to be very intimidating for me. I tried, I don't know how many times, to grow sprouts at home in a mason jar, and they would get moldy or they wouldn't grow or whatever. So I had kind of given up on it over the years, but then I found a system that I bought online. I can't remember the brand, and I'm not here to endorse any companies, but I think sprouting systems have gotten more easier to use and more effective, or maybe it's the quality of the seeds. But I have a sprouting jar now that looks like this. It's got a screen here. So what you do is you put your seeds in a couple tablespoons in the bottom and soak them in about that much water for 12 hours. That kind of gets them going. Then you just tip it and pour out all the water. Then each day you just put this under the faucet and put enough water in there to moisten everything and kind of give it a gentle swirl because you're giving the seeds and the growing sprouts kind of a bath or a shower. But I think a bath is better. They seem to do better if you immerse them for a few seconds as opposed to just a quick dump, you know. So they will start to sprout, and over the course of about 5 days, you will get a full jar of these. Now, during the day, after you've rinsed them, you just set them in this tray, and the excess water that you didn't pour out drains out so they don't get too moist, which is often what causes the mold. And I just buy the seeds in packets like this. I did for a while have problems with the batch of seeds that I bought at a small store. I think they may have been old. They like never sprouted at all. You didn't have to worry about them getting moldy. They just didn't sprout. So I've gone back to buying them online. I'm hoping that means they're fresher. I don't think they actually have an expiration date on here, but this particular brand, which I found through Amazon, seems to work really well. Now the end result, I've already eaten some of these, is these beautiful sprouts. I rinse them out in water after I'm done, get rid of all the little seed holes if I can, that they'll float to the top. You can throw them out. Put them in a container with paper towel on the bottom so that, again, it helps prevent any kind of mold. And then when I'm ready to have a salad, I'll just grab a handful of these and put them on top of my salad. You can throw these in the blender when you're making smoothies, but it'll give you in the salad a lot of great flavor and texture. Like right now I've got a spring salad mix. It's several different kinds of seeds. You can also just get broccoli or beet or kale or any type of salad green seed, depending on what flavors you like to have. I like the salad mix because, well, it's more variety. Like this one has broccoli and radish, alfalfa, and clover. Quite often in the grocery store you can buy sprouts, but you have to be aware that they're probably only going to keep for 1 or 2 days if you're lucky in your fridge because they've already been processed and transported and they've been sitting on the shelf in the grocery store. So if you grow your own, which really isn't too complicated these days, they're going to be fresh and mine last a good week. It's really fun. And when you put salad dressing on and there's sprouts in there, I mean, that helps hold the dressing and it adds crunchiness and flavor, not to mention the protein and the nutrients. I've seen varying statistics out there about the nutrients in sprouts, But if you think about it, if each sprout was eventually going to grow into an entire plant, a radish plant or a broccoli stalk or whatever, and you're eating maybe 50 of these little sprouts just in one serving as salad because they're small. That's like eating that many vegetables because all the nutrient and power, the life-giving energy that's in a plant is in those sprouts. So it's like all condensed down into this plant that's just bursting to grow. So sprouts are a super healthy way to get your nutrients, get some texture. They're pretty. You can put them in if you make a wrap. Like if you make, I make like a mock tuna salad or mock egg salad. I make them from tofu, and then put sprouts on top and maybe a couple diced tomatoes and roll it up in a wrap. You've got like I feel like a gourmet sandwich, and it was all easy to do in your own kitchen. The other thing that I don't do this every week, but it depends. I go through cycles like all of us do, things I really like, and I'll do them for a while and then get off track, is adding quinoa. It comes in a lot of different forms, but as you can see here, it's kind of like a very tiny grain, and it's an ancient grain, and it's been kind of reintroduced to a lot of us just in the last 20 years or so. It's a powerful grain because it has a number of essential amino acids in it, just like animal meat does. So you're getting a powerful influx of protein when you eat quinoa. In this particular case, if I were to cook this and then have a quarter of a cup of the cooked, or a half a cup, quarter cup dry, half a cup cooked, I would be getting 6 grams of protein, which is, that's not too bad. It's and you can throw this in your salad, and again, it'll add texture. It's not super crunchy, but it has kind of a nutty flavor, so it's almost like putting ground nuts in your salad. It'll soak up the dressing, which will add to its flavor, and you can just sprinkle it on top and then stir it in with all your salad greens. I used to do this when I was working, and people would come by my desk when I'd be eating this salad, and they'd go, wow, where'd you get that? That looks, they assumed I got it from a restaurant or something because it looked really interesting, because most of us bringing salads from home only have a few ingredients in there, but I had all my usual chopped stuff and my grated carrots, and then I have quinoa and maybe some nuts on top. When it's cooked, this is what it looks like. This container, I cooked a half a cup of quinoa in a cup of water. You bring it to a boil and then simmer for 15 minutes. It's very quick. It's not like cooking rice or something. And made this much quinoa from this much dry. And again, if you have 2 scoops about this size, you'll get 6 grams of protein. You can also make like a pasta salad kind of thing with quinoa. Like you can take maybe a full cup of that, which would be 12 grams, or even a cup and a half, and mince up some cucumber, peppers, onion, radishes, whatever you want, into tiny bits and mix them in with a little bit of dressing. And you've got a high protein salad, cold salad, without any greens, especially right now. I know we're in the midst of a massive parasite outbreak in some of the big commercial lettuce growers, and some people are afraid to even have salad. But you can have healthy veggies and quinoa mixed together to make a salad. The other aspect about greens these days is I've been buying local greens for a long time because I found that I really like the texture, and I like the fact that I'm supporting local businesses, and I buy hydroponically grown lettuce mixes. They're grown in Ohio, just at my local grocery store. And when they're grown hydroponically, that means they're grown indoors in a climate-controlled environment with just water. There's no dirt, there's no pesticides needed, there's no weed killers needed, so none of that is going to be in your lettuce. And because it's an indoor filtered water system, it's not outside where some of these outdoor sprinkler systems for the massive producers who are unfortunately contributing to this parasite spread You know, they have water that's maybe drawn up from wells or from rivers, and that's apparently how human sewage is getting into the water supply, which is getting the parasite into your lettuce. If you buy locally grown items, whether it's at your grocery store or at a local farmer's market, you are probably pretty safe in continuing to eat this product. Anytime things are mass produced, whether it's plants or animal proteins or whatever, there's a lot of room for infiltration of disease and germs and so on. Usually, if you work with a more modern grower and someplace local, you're going to have safer products. But if you just don't feel safe eating lettuce until all of this is over, or you don't have access to those kind of things, microgreens or sprouts like this can bring you some amazing effects, and it can take the place of lettuce. Like, in addition to, you know, a salad wrap, I mean, you could just have, you know, a sandwich with lunch meat or cheese in it and add some sprouts instead of lettuce. You're going to get that crunch, that green flavor, that extra nutrient. It'll hold any kind of dressing or spread that you've put onto your contents of your sandwich. So, something to think about. I quit buying them because it's expensive. You know, they're labor intensive to make because you have to keep rinsing them and sorting them and drying them and shipping them carefully so they don't get moldy. Pretty easy to do at home. Actually, today, as I was preparing for this video, I was thinking, you know, a long time ago, about 20 years ago, when I had a brush with cancer, I went to a Living Foods 10-day workshop to learn how to eat only fresh, raw vegetables and some nuts and seeds and a couple of fruits, but not all fruits. And we learned how to grow not just light sprouts like this, but the heavier duty microgreens like sunflower seed sprouts or peas or mung beans, things that sprout from a much bigger seed. These seeds here are tiny, tiny, tiny. That's just, you can see, hopefully, how tiny those seeds are. But you know how big a sunflower seed is. Well, when a sunflower seed sprouts, it's got like a stalk. I mean, if you plant one in your yard, you know how big that seedling is. Well, if you grow those in a specific kind of growing medium, you can have those as sprouts and then snip them off with your scissors and throw those in your salad. And we did that every day with the recipes we learned to make at this Living Foods Institute. Sunflower sprouts are amazing. They're very sweet. They're fantastic, and they're chewy and large, and they can really add an amazing dimension to any kind of salad that you have. I mean, they were so good, a lot of us were just eating them straight out of the planting trays because we'd never tasted anything so fresh and delicious before. So today I just did some research online and found a system for growing them. It's not in a big flat because they do have systems like that, but I'm just one person. There's only so many I'm going to eat. I found the coolest thing. It's an insert that you put into your mason jar, and you do the same as you do with this other system I have. You soak the seeds for 12 hours, pour out the water, and then you put the seeds in this little cup that like sits in the top, nests inside the top of the mason jar, and you fill a mason jar up with water, not quite touching the bottom of that. It's a little bit below. And as the sprouts sprout and they send their little roots down, they go down into the water, and then you have your like sunflower seeds growing up out of the top. So I'm very excited for that to come next week and try growing my own sunflower seed sprouts. The more common way to grow those is in flats. We did it with dirt when I was at the Living Food Institute. That didn't work very well at my house. You have to put them in dirt and then cover them for 3 days and then uncover them and start watering them and growing them. They never grew at my house. I didn't have enough sun. This system is much simpler, but it's very small scale. As I say, if you have a family or you're going to eat these every day, a mason jar cap full is not going to be enough for you unless you have like 10 jars going and staggered. But it's another way to get some amazing nutrition where you're not dependent on going out to a store, and there's some satisfaction in growing something like that in your own home. Plus, you know how fresh it is because you're eating it as soon as it's ready. There's no transportation involved. There's no weird temperature fluctuations of it being on a truck or in and out of the heat and the cold. So it's kind of endless the things you can do with a salad, but those are two of my favorite things to add besides the initial base of the salad and the veggies in it is the quinoa and the sprouts. So if that sounds interesting or fun, feel free to go out there and explore. There are a lot of different systems for growing sprouts. Some of them have like a grow light on top. I like the hydroponic idea personally, so I don't have to deal with dirt. I think some of them use like a hemp mat. It's kind of like a thick woven thing, kind of like almost like a welcome mat you may have seen made out of hemp or rope. And I guess after so many uses, you have to throw it away and get a new one because probably bacteria might build up in it. I don't want to have to deal with any of that. I like just growing in the water. It just feels cleaner to me. So that's one of my next projects. I am going to start a batch of seeds, sprouts today. And the next time I do a video, I will show you their progress because it'll probably be in a couple days. So they'll probably be about halfway there to finished. It's really fun, and as I say, I encourage you to think about it. You might want to buy some microgreens at the store and just try them to see if you like them first. Most health food stores have them, and sometimes in the produce section in a large grocery store, they'll have them, in the section where all the lettuces are. So anyway, that is today's food for thought, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye bye.